10 people were killed in 2 separate car crashes in Mpumalanga in a space of 24 hours. Let's get more details on these crashes. We're joined on the line by Safety, Security and Liaison Spokesperson Moeti Musi. Moeti, thank you very much indeed for your time. Just tell us a bit about these 2 fatal crashes. When and where did it happen?
Good morning to you and the viewers at home. All that we can say is that 2 separate crashes occurred over the last 24 hours in Mpumalanga, as you've correctly said. The first one occurred yesterday, very early in the morning, around 3 o'clock on N11 between Middelburg and Groblersdal. 4 people died when a minibus that was transporting them from the Eastern Cape to Moria in Limpopo first sideswiped with a truck before overturning on the side of the road. The 4 people died at the scene, and while several people who sustained injuries that varied from mild to serious were transported to the nearest hospital in Middelburg for further medical attention after first being stabilized on the scene. Further to that, last night around 8 o'clock on R544 road between Verena and Emalahleni, there was a head-on collision between 2 sedans that claimed the lives of 6 people. 5 of those people were in one vehicle, and they are all believed to be family members. The crash occurred around 8 o'clock in the evening. It is not clear as to what led to this fatal crash as well. But 3 more people who sustained serious injuries, they include the driver of one of the vehicles, were rushed to a nearby hospitals in Emalahleni so that they could receive further medical attention. The road was closed for some time, that R544 road that links Verena and Emalahleni. So the other vehicle that was carrying family members was traveling from Mpumalanga to Emalahleni. Those members are believed to have been visited their families in Mpumalanga earlier on. So the vehicle was obviously traveling from Mpumalanga towards Emalahleni.
Moeti, just talk to us a bit about the roads, the various stretch of roads and the conditions under which they were driving yesterday.
The N11 road, the accident happened very early in the morning, around the one that happened on N11. It happened very early in the morning. So we assume that it must have been dark there, but the road is generally drivable. Although that investigation is also under the investigation by the police, we somewhat suspect fatigue may have played a role in that regard. You remember the minibus was traveling from the Eastern Cape to Moria for religious purposes over this weekend. And then with regard to the one with overtaking, we acknowledge that the Verena road, R544 road, is somewhat slightly smaller. It does not have 2 lanes where 2 vehicles can travel in the same direction at the time. So motorists, what they usually do, they would sometimes overtake. But, with head-on collisions, usually occurs when one of the vehicles is overtaking when it was not safe to do so. Yeah. So obviously one of them must have been on the lane that was not his. So those are some of the things. Largely, the roads are generally drivable, except the narrowness there and there. But we don't want to speculate or jump the gun, but we suspect that the speeding may have been the case in this one due to the severity of these injuries. I mean, losing 6 people at the go, it's quite. It tells you that it must have been very. The impact was too high, such that you have such serious injuries as well. So we are once more appealing to motorists to try and use the road with a greater and heightened caution, and they also need to prioritize their safety and that of other road users so that we can avoid these further crashes moving forward, because we are aware that it's a long weekend, and then traffic and law enforcement officers can only do this much. It is usually in the hands of the motorists. They really need to work on their driver habits such that they drive safely and they do not disregard the traffic rules, adhere to speed limits, and also try and rest sufficiently when they travel long distances, because fatigue is also one of the major causes of the fatal crashes that we usually see when there are long weekends.
Look, this is the long weekend. Tell us about the police visibility on these roads.
Our law enforcement officers will try and keep an eye on the roads that have known to contribute to most of the crashes previously. We'll look at the previous holiday statistics and long weekends, and then we'll our observation will go to such roads so that we avoid any further loss of life. But largely, we'll also rely to a greater extent on the driver behavior. If they avoid driving recklessly, probably we could get away with as minimal as accidents as possible.
Just talk to us about the condition of those that have been injured. What information do we have in this regard?
What we have so far is that they are still in a serious condition. The three who were transported to Middleburg Hospital yesterday, and then with regards to the 8 who were slightly injured in the other accident on N11, is that they are still in a hospital, while others have also been discharged, and their relatives and families have also been notified of their condition. So some of them have been out of the hospital as we speak, are out of danger, while others are still receiving much more serious attention by the medical experts at various hospitals.
Yeah, look, it's a tragic story indeed, but thank you very much indeed for coming through. That was the Safety, Security and Liaison Spokesperson, Moeti Musi there. Thank you very much indeed for the information that you provided to us.